now. Hey, everybody, we are back. Welcome back to the Film Tangents show with Mr. Jake and Mr. Jake. This time around, I've quit the show.
Yeah, dude, we were spent about an hour on some technical issues. So I'm oh man, I was close to breaking something, dude. That made me so fucking mad, man.
Yeah. Well, that has become
But we've made it through.
Yeah. That has become kind of like a somehow a recurrent problem that we've had. We just have audio issues like every other week. Like we have like a solid week. Every time we have like a week where it's like everything's great, everything's good, the audio's we're just flying, and then the next week it's like, oh shit, one of us can't do something, or what is it? Like our catchphrase of sorts has become has become.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Because we're constantly fucking with inputs and outputs and sound mixing and OBS studio, old bullshit studio.
Yeah.
Anyone from
old
from OBS is listening.
Old bullshit studio.
On the 0.1% chance. Fuck you. You guys suck. As I'm using you right now to record my podcast. Podcast. Anyway,
the audacity of
Edward, start us off, because while we were doing the going over technical issues, Edward started talking about robots and Elon Musk and all that stuff.
Yes.
Take it away, Edward.
Well, I saw something in the news, which I'm not sure 100% whether it's like, fact or fiction. But I saw something in the news along the lines of there is some kind of like central intelligence sky thing, and it has been called Skynet.
What?
And that that's like a reference to like the whole like Terminator stuff. Yeah. No, it's called Skynet.
Elon Musk Skynet. It's because Elon Musk is a nerd and he likes science fiction and all that shit, and he uses that as a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Like a douche.
So
the way a douche would.
So it's one of those things where I saw that and somebody like said something along the lines of like, are we serious about this? And I saw that and I was like, it's interesting though, because I think it kind of adds to the I guess you could say that maybe a theme for this episode could be predestination, right?
Yeah.
And just because of the movie that we watched, which we watched Timecrimes, because every time we're recording, I think to myself that the person who's listening to this doesn't know like which is the movie. It's like, oh, this is a surprise, and now we're into this podcast. We'll be like, oh, the movie of the week, But it's like, no, it's on the title. It's like the title of this is the film of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watched Timecrimes, and it's like you think about stuff like this, like life imitates art, or art imitates life, or whatever, But if we somehow end up in some kind of like Terminator reality, right? Like if we move into the future and it's like we live in this Terminator world and Skynet's controlling everything, we set it up, like our James Cameron, set it up so that the world would become this chaos.
All his fault.
It's all his fault. It's all his fault for making boring movies.
AI is getting scary, man. I mean, I'm hearing that, I haven't messed around with it too much. I kind of want to investigate for myself, but I'm hearing that, people are getting AI to write essays for them, essays in different styles.
Yeah.
They're getting it to like create recipes for things. They're getting.
Isn't that like some? Isn't that called like? Is that what that Chat GP thing is? Is that what
Yeah,
that is?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been curious about that because I've not accessed it, like I've not used that. But I've just seen people like post videos of it, like writing stuff for people, and I've
Yeah.
heard like different folks like voicing their concerns about it. But
Right.
that's like the number one thing that I wish I would have had access to when I was in school.
Oh,
Can you
yeah. Oh,
imagine?
are you
Can you
kidding me?
imagine? Like you're in school and your teacher asks you, like, "Hey, for next class, you have to write a paper about postmodernism and the impact that it had, in
Right.
art." And you're like, "Oh boy, now I have to go read." And it's like, "Oh no, they just put that into a computer and say, write a paper about postmodernism and the impact that it had in,
Yeah.
visual arts." And then they'll just write it for you. And you can tell it like write a 2-page paper, and they'll just write a 2-page paper.
Yeah.
Is it moving us forward towards becoming just like obsolete, obsolete in this earth? I think so, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have had
It's
it.
the Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, you know how much time we would have saved in school?
Yeah.
Holy crap. School's one of those things I look back on, and I look at just how much time, because not only did we have to go all freaking day, but then also we'd have to come home and do homework, and that took a couple hours. I mean, dude, school is one of those things. I look back on school, just grade school, and I'm like, man, how did I do it?
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, dude.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Well, I like you have no clue, but it's because I don't remember. I don't remember that time.
It's just like your reality at the time, when you're a kid. It's just this is what it is, I mean, shit, dude. If we become self-made one day, it's like we'll look back, we'll be like, how did we ever do work?
Yeah, exactly.
Holy
No,
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I always feel like that a year in the future, like hindsight, like any time that I think, anytime that I have hindsight until like, where was I last year? I always think to myself, like, how was I doing that? And like, why was I not trying to do something else? Or why wasn't I switching things around? Like, there's always like that element of it, but it's like, that much time doesn't even have to pass. Sometimes you just kind of think back to something that happened like not too long ago, and you think to yourself, like, what was I doing? Like where was my mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, that's one of the things too,
You come to your
because I
senses,
look back
like
on
Little Wayne would say.
Yeah. I was listening to that song today.
Really?
What a throwback.
Yeah.
Love Me by Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, man, because you look back on the problems, like the problems that you had 2 years ago, right? You don't have them now, most likely.
No.
Right?
No.
It's just kind of a testament to how you shouldn't worry about shit, most of the time.
Right.
Whatever your problems are now, no matter what, something's gonna give, and you're not gonna be worrying about it in a year.
Absolutely.
Hell, 6 months.
Yeah.
Something's gonna give.
Yeah.
You're worried about that job. You're worried about getting fired from that job, but if you get fired from that job, in 6 months to a year from now, you're gonna be working somewhere else, right? And so it's like, okay, something gave, right? But if you don't get fired from that job, well, and in a year from now, you might get a new job somewhere else.
Right.
And you'll look back on that. How was I? And you'll be like, why was I worrying about getting fired from that job? Right?
It's relative.
Whether you got fired or not. Anyway, yeah.
I was thinking. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because I've been somebody who has, really just dreaded certain things throughout life, and I've gotten to a point now, I think, where I'm pretty comfortable with just, setting aside my worries and setting aside my anxieties, because it's like, if I'm not gonna be thinking about it in 6 months, then why think about it now?
Right. And that's one of those.
I'm not saying that bad outcomes don't exist, but
Right.
hopefully people will kind of get what I'm trying to say.
No. I mean, I get what you're trying to say. And it's one of those things, right, where it's like we we can only think about that stuff like in hindsight, where it's like you just look
Yeah.
back and you just kind of think to yourself like what was going on, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like why was it like in my head that I just made this into such like an overblown deal, like why couldn't I why couldn't I see it from the perspective that I'm looking at things now? And funnily enough, there's a version of you in the future that's thinking to themselves like, why couldn't I see that situation from the perspective I'm seeing this now?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like this constant like retroactive like
Yeah.
chin
'Cause
scratch.
exactly. Well, because the thing is, like, the human mind, right, is, and what's interesting, because I want to tie this in, which is, I read this, I've been reading this, so I have read this book, but I reference it all the time. I probably reference this book weekly. The way I do, I have this, I have pretty much a library that I'm building, just in my room here, and I actually am running out of shelf space, and I need to get vertical bookshelves. Those are sweet.
Yeah.
Those are sweet, dude. Those little towers
Oh
where you
yeah,
stack
yeah, yeah.
books.
That's right. You talked to me about that. You talked to me about that.
I need to get one of those because I'm running out of shelf space. I'm out of shelf space actually. Um, but I've been referencing this book. I reference it like once a week, dude. It's The Good Psychopath's Guide to Success. It's by Good Psychopath's Guide to Success, Kevin Dutton and Andy McNabb. And Kevin Dutton is Dr. Kevin Dutton. He's one of the foremost experts in the world on psychopaths. And the thing is, the reason this book exists is because psychopaths have hacked life in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of downsides to psychopaths existing for the psychopath and for everyone else.
Right.
But but the reason it's called The Good Psychopath's Guide to Success is the co-author Andy McNabb. He's a psychopath. He's a diagnosed psychopath. He's an author himself, and he used to be in the military. And they go over in different chapters different things that psychopaths have just sort of hacked in life. One of the things that is probably most noteworthy that we can use from psychopaths, that we can sort of take and use for ourselves, is the idea that psychopaths they only focus on their wins, right? They don't
All I do
They
is
don't have-
win, no matter what. Come on, yo.
DJ
God.
Khaled. Hey.
Oh.
God. Is there a worse song? But anyway, fucking back on track. So with psychopaths, right? They focus on the wins, right? They don't even contemplate, because psychopaths, a big trait of psychopathy is fearlessness, right? Like psychopaths have no fear or very limited fear. It has to be like a really intense situation for their heart rate to even increase.
Psychopaths have dragon blood.
Yeah, right.
I'm just making a reference.
Kanye, right?
Yeah, I'm making a reference to like Kanye and like what is it, Charlie Chin, because he said he had like tiger blood or something like that. Back when
He
was
talked about Donald Trump and said he had dragon energy or something.
Yeah. But Charlie Chin, when he was kind of having like a public meltdown, he himself said that he had like tiger blood, and that he was just winning, and he was like #winning,
Oh my
Focus on
god,
the
man.
positive.
Oh Jesus. Well, we're gonna get to Kanye in a second here.
Yeah.
So with psychopaths, right? They're very success and results oriented. So because they have no fear, they don't even contemplate loss or failure, right? Their sort of mindset is, well, if it's not going to help me win, I'm not going to even think about it, right? And the thing about the human mind is we sort of build these prisons for ourselves, because the sort of ordinary human mind, a normal functioning non-psychopathic human mind, we build these prisons for ourselves because if you understand human psychology, right, like our psychology hasn't really evolved, to match this new society that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're running really outdated software, and basically what's kind of happened is, because back when we were, just living in caves and shit like this, our brains were wired to, and they still are wired to hold on to resources, right? And to like not venture into the unknown, right? And hold on to resources and just hold on to what we can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's no wonder that so many people are just stuck with a significant other that they don't like, or feel stuck in a job, right? Because we're running that outdated software that's telling you, no, hold on to what you have. You have this pile of carrots and, turnips and, mammoth meat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on to it. Like, don't let it go, because don't leave it. Don't walk away from it and venture out to try to get something better, because then, other scavengers are gonna come in and take your shit, basically.
Right. It's basically the whole, like, one bird in the hand is worth more than two birds in a bush.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of the curse of a lot of modern humanity, right? That there are people out there that can't stand their significant other, and yet it would take them winning the lottery to leave their significant other.
Probably more than that, dude.
Yeah, probably. I saw a really interesting video a while back on YouTube, and it was basically about, what if you won the lottery, right? Would you still be with her if you won the lottery? I think was the title of the video, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just talking about how, we do, it's a good thought experiment, right? Because if the answer is no to, no, I wouldn't be in this particular line of work if I didn't win the lottery, right? No, I wouldn't, or if I won the lottery. No, I wouldn't be with this person if I won the lottery, right? Then, you should probably see about bouncing.
Right.
Basically.
It's like, well, I guess you should think about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. You don't even remember how we got on that topic, but
I don't remember either.
That is the curse of the modern individual, I think.
Yeah. Did you hear about the consecutive things that have happened to one famous late night show presenter, Jay Leno?
Oh man, I feel like I heard something real brief about Jay Leno, but no, enlighten me.
So Jay Leno is an interesting figure because he, as you know, he hosted like the Tonight Show for a long time, and there's like a cool video that like kind of narrates like the whole history of that on YouTube. I think it's called like the Tonight Show Wars or something, because it's basically about how, Leno had the Tonight Show and Conan became like really popular, And do you know about this? Am I just saying to you something that you already know?
I somewhat know about this, but not really. Keep going.
Okay, so basically, Conan and Leno were in the same channel, and whatever channel hosts the Tonight Show, I don't remember. Whatever channel fucking Jimmy Fallon is on, fake laughing. So, he hosted it, and eventually they were like, okay, it's kind of time for fresh breath, fresh air, for this show. So they just kind of said to Leno like, hey, just give the show to Conan, and ultimately he screwed Conan out of the show. And people have famously kind of talked about this, which caused like a bunch of other kind of like late show people to either crucify him, make jokes against him, or stand by him. Number one being Letterman at the time. Like Letterman was just going in on Jay Leno like every night, just like going in on him, because Letterman is a big Conan guy. He like really like champions him, and ultimately Conan got screwed, and that's how Conan ended up at CBS doing that like half-hour show he was doing like with Team Coco, like that Conan show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the show that he had like for years that he ended like a couple years ago. Which if
he even executive produced that Final Space show.
Really? Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. But if listener, if you have not gone out of your way to like go and like on YouTube and search like Bill Burr interviews with Conan, look them up. They're the best. They are the best.
Yeah.
The best interviews of Bill Burr that you will ever see are the ones he's done with Conan. They're hilarious. So much so that Conan, like on the very last few episodes, or I think like the very last episode, he like had Bill Burr again, just because of how much like they have great chemistry. Just Conan being so like fast paced and witty and like just a great comedian, matched with Bill Burr's ness, just with how like angry he is at everything. Regardless, all that shit happened. And because of that, a lot of people kind of hate on Leno, because a lot of people have kind of come to know the story, and people just hate Jay Leno. And there's like a great like interview that somebody did with Jimmy Kimmel. I forget who it was, but somebody interviewed Jimmy Kimmel, like this like 15-minute interview with Kimmel that is like fascinating. Or it's like a 15-minute clip from like a longer interview in which Kimmel himself talks about what was happening during that time, his own relationship with Jay Leno, and him kind of saying that he just doesn't like him. But Leno owns a humongous amount of cars. Humongous amount of them. Like he owns like warehouses where he has them. And he is just like a huge car guy. He's like a huge car enthusiast, like huge. Just like what he's dedicated his life post television, just cars. And I don't know if you know that while driving one of his car caught on fire and he like burned.
Oh man.
Yeah, so he had to be hospitalized.
I don't think I heard about this.
Yeah, no, dude, he had to go to the hospital because of what happened. He was like all burnt up. And so ultimately Leno was fine. And a couple of weeks ago, Leno got out of the hospital, right? He was all recouped. He was all great. He got in his Jay Leno bike and he crashed.
Oh my god!
He had a car,
his Jay Leno bike.
Yeah, and he crashed it.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Man,
I remember
he just looks like, I'm looking at pictures of him right now. He just looks like a guy that would crash things.
Oh, dude, and I think I talked to my brother about this because I was like, if ever I have seen like a public like divine sort of message to a human being of being like, hey, this thing you're doing with his cars is wrong. It's just happening to Jay Leno because his cars are trying to kill him.
Dude, I'm looking at photos of him. Dude, his wife looks like a creature from hell, man. Oh my goodness.
What?
What? Jesus. I'm such an asshole. Oh god. I shouldn't have said that. You know what? Anyone who's that was too loud. Anyone who's judging me right now, go look up pictures of Jay Leno's wife, and then see if you're still judging me. Jesus.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Poor Jay Leno. That's three things that
have gone wrong.
But that one went wrong years ago.
Talk about predestination.
Oh, that's why, dude. That's why he crashed. That's why he crashed his bike and everything, because both times he was trying to go fast enough to time travel back into the past. Oh god, dude. So that he wouldn't marry him.
Oh jeez.
Jesus.
Oh, man.
Oh god.
Oh no, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Oh jeez. Oh Leno.
Sorry, Jay Leno.
I'm sorry, Jay Leno.
Sorry, Jay.
We apologize. It's our bad. It's the Film Tangents podcast's fault on this one.
Yeah. we're assholes, man.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Jay Leno, dude.
But yeah,
Fuck.
that ultimately the point to return to here is that was the thing that I was like, Jay, God's telling you. It's like the powers that be are telling you to stop, to maybe sell those cars, to donate that money to charity, like do something. But it's like
Yeah.
if you do it twice, like if you are hospitalized because your car malfunctioned, and then after you leave the hospital, you are hospitalized again because you crashed your motorcycle, then something is kind of telling you, like maybe stay at home, maybe let those cars go, Uber a little bit, Uber a little bit more, like
Ride your bike.
yeah, ride your
Not
bike,
the
like,
motorbike.
yeah,
Ride your bicycle.
your normal bicycle, yeah, something's going on there. It's like if you have enough money to have all these garages and to pay people to like upkeep your cars, just like pay somebody, a livable salary to be like your chauffeur.
Yeah. And we're also, Jay, you have to travel a lot faster than that to time travel. So don't even bother, dude. You made your bed. Just chalk it up to,
You think
choice.
do you think that Jay Leno do you think that Jay Leno's favorite movie is Superman 3?
Yeah, right. Where Superman flies around the planet and that doesn't even make any sense.
No.
Because I saw
He makes the
Superman
planet
3.
spin backwards, right?
Yeah,
He would
and that-
kill
first
he would
of all,
kill
that-
like every human on Earth by doing that.
Yeah, that has nothing to. Yeah, exactly. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson maybe has a video on what would happen. Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson or somebody else?
If there was like a force strong enough to make the planet like spin in the opposite way.
Yeah, like if the planet suddenly stopped spinning even just for a second.
Oh, we would all die.
I
We
think
would all
it's-
just get like splashed.
Yeah, because it's like if you were traveling in a car going 80 miles an hour, but
Then
times that.
And then
I think,
suddenly
how
you just
fast does the Earth
hit like a
spin?
break, right?
Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
I think we're spending like millions of like miles per like second or something like that.
Roughly 1,000 miles per hour.
Oh well,
We're
dude, I was way
off,
off. I was like
Yeah.
million miles per second.
A million miles a second, dude. We'd be fucking time traveling every half second. Yeah, no.
But if
No
it suddenly
one's Edward on
stopped, like
science.
we would all just become tomato, like ketchup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Superman 3, no good. Superman 2 is awesome.
I've not seen any of those old like what is it, Christopher Reeves Superman movies? I've
Yeah.
not seen any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember really anything about the first one. The second one's the one I remember the most. The second one is the one with they basically adapted the second one partially for Man of Steel. That's the one with General Zod, like the three evil Supermen, basically.
Yeah.
It's like three evil Supermans, two dudes and a lady, and that one's good. When I was a kid, that was the one I liked the most because I found the villains really intimidating. Because it was scary for that's one of the only. Dude, that's one of the only pieces of Superman media where they did it well, as far as I recall, at least in Superman 2, where you actually feel like Superman's in trouble.
Yeah, they're gonna get him.
Like you actually feel worried for Superman.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird to even say.
Yeah, because with Man of Steel, you never really feel worried for that guy. It's really just like a moral conundrum for him. It's just like, he's powerful enough to do it. It's just a matter of whether he does it or not. Because when he found the motivation within him to kill Zod, he killed him.
Yeah.
And he killed him like
exactly.
He killed him real quick, real easy. He just did it,
Right. I forget how he even I forget how he even defeats Zod in Superman 2. I don't remember if he kills them or what.
Yeah.
But it's implied. I mean, it seems pretty heavily implied, at least in that movie, that yeah, he's not just deciding not to kill them. Like they're actually a threat.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed
In which
that one
movie?
when I was a kid. Superman 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Christopher Reeves or whatever.
Yeah, and the Man of Steel one, I think he decided to kill that guy.
Yeah,
Cause
exactly.
I think because I think it came down to like he was like trying to like burn like a family with his like laser eyes, and he was like, oh, I'm just gonna snap him.
Yeah.
He just snapped him. He snapped that dude like a twig.
Yeah, I remember that moment just had so little weight to me, even as a teenager. I just always found that moment super. It just felt so left field, irrelevant. I was just like, oh, I guess he killed him.
He got him. He got him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then have you seen Batman v Superman?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
We've talked about this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because then in that movie they like that's the one where like Lex Luthor uses his Zod's body to create that like beast thing that he makes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of, this is a great word I'm looking for. Segue.
Yeah.
It's a great segue.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did not, but I did watch the Super Bowl halftime show.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, yeah, awesome halftime show by Rihanna. She killed it.
Do you think so? You think so? I hold the
thought so.
complete. I hold the complete opposite opinion.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? That's
I hold
interesting.
the complete opposite opinion.
Okay, we'll get to that, but this was a
Yeah.
perfect segue into Flash. Did
Yeah.
you see the commercial for the new Flash movie?
I did not, but does it star the same guy as before? Is it Ezra Miller?
Yeah, so, dude, normally I
guy's
wouldn't
a
even
criminal.
care. Is he?
Yeah.
I've heard this, that he's problematic. What'd he do?
They're like unwilling. Like the problem with him is they filmed those movies and then he showed his tail, as they say. Like he was hiding, and then he hid long enough for them to pay him for those movies and film it, and then put too much money into them before he started committing crimes against humanity. He's committed like crimes. I'm just kind of like remembering what it is. I'm not quite sure the specifics, but it has to do with like endangering minors, possession of drugs and guns, and
Jesus.
and like some kind of pseudo like kidnapping stuff where like he had like minors living with him, but it wasn't that he was like. He didn't have like a sexual relationship with them, but he was like housing them.
He's grooming, it says.
Yeah.
Dude, listen to this. Since 2022, this is a year.
Yeah.
He's been accused of. Ezra Miller has been accused of committing disorderly conduct, assault, burglary, and grooming minors.
Yeah.
Dude. In a wild year, Ezra Miller. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Did you not know about this stuff?
I heard something about it.
Yeah.
What I really wanted to talk about is so I'm not, I don't care,
Yeah.
you know me, people who have listened to us for a little while know me. I'm not huge on superheroes,
Yeah.
but they're doing their own No Way Home thing with the Flash, but it's with Batman. Michael Keaton's Batman is in the Flash.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
They're doing their own No Way Home.
As long as they nail it. But that sounds great. Like I've not seen the trailer, but I did see the kind of like the trailer like thing on my YouTube queue. And I saw that the cover was his face, was Ezra Miller. And when I saw that, I was like, well, there we go. I guess they couldn't get rid of him. They couldn't get rid of him. But that sounds awesome.
God.
That sounds awesome. What I did watch was the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Wait a second, I didn't know this was out.
Yeah,
The trailer's out?
yeah. But
What?
it's basically what
Dude,
you
have
would.
you seen?
It's like what you would expect. It's just like
Of
them
course.
doing some shenanigans and being kind of like, oh, this is the last hurrah.
Right.
But ultimately, I'm excited for it just because I like James
He's-
Gunn and I like the Guardian movies. I like Chris Pratt in those movies. I think Chris Pratt works the best in those movies.
Yeah.
Like somehow he's been in everything. Like the Jurassic Park movies and. He's the voice of Mario, in that animated Mario movie and everything. But, his original role that he became big for was the Guardians of the Galaxy one, and that's still the one that he does best.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
But
dude.
based on you talking to me about the Flash trailer, I'll watch it. I'll check it out. I'll get hyped.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to see him bring. I can't really do that. I was gonna say Val Kilmer's Batman, but I think yeah, I don't think that could happen really because Val Kilmer, um, he's got that has a disease
Does he really?
like where he can't talk. Yeah,
Huh.
degenerative disease.
Yeah.
Like he's in that new Top Gun movie, but he uh uh his character has same disease basically in the movie. It's like a cameo basically.
Okay.
One scene.
That's cool, man. That's cool that they put him in there. Because
Yeah.
that means that Tom Cruise and the director and those people are looked at that situation and they just said like let's just get the guy in here,
Yeah.
and at the very least they put money in his pockets. But I
Yeah.
know that there's like a Val Kilmer documentary, and I think it's just called Val. And if it's not called Val, then it's just called Kilmer. But it's either Val or Kilmer. And
Right. Kilmer's probably a better title.
yeah, but there's a documentary about him, and I know about it because it's like critically acclaimed, and I think it actually might have even been nominated for like an Oscar for best documentary, and I think it documents that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I didn't know he had that, but now knowing that he had that, and I think that's what the documentary is about.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. Yeah, that's really sad.
And the
Man.
documentary is called Val, VAL.
Oh.
It's not called Kilmer. It's called Val.
I mean, I guess that's a pretty good title.
Yeah.
I mean, Val Kilmer is awesome, dude. He was awesome at Heat.
Yeah, he was.
He was in True Romance.
Was he really? I don't remember him in that.
I don't remember. He must be one of the mafia guys, right?
Yeah, because he was not the main character. The main character was that other guy.
Yeah, Christian Slater.
Christian Slater, yeah, who is not in anything anymore. Although I think he is, like, in Stranger Things or something like that.
Dude, you know who he plays in True Romance?
Who?
Elvis.
Elvis?
Remember? Because he's like, he has those, Christian Slater's character has those visions of Elvis in
Oh,
True
yeah,
Romance.
that's right. He plays Elvis in that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, Val Kilmer is Elmer.
I know that Brad
Elmer.
Pitt's in that
Elvis.
movie. He plays like that junkie.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's that pothead guy.
yeah. But Jake, tell me
Go ahead.
about your Super Bowl feelings. Where are you coming from with this?
Oh, the halftime show?
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was a solid show, dude.
really?
I mean, well, and my reasoning behind it is this is what struck me about the halftime show, right? And I mean, it's not an amazing feat that they decided to do this, but I just thought it was good, right? Because when Rihanna starts, right, I'm like, in my mind, I'm not a Rihanna fan. I don't really like pop music,
Right.
but I think she obviously will concede that she's really talented, and has a couple of, she's got a couple of bangers.
Mm-hmm.
But the halftime show starts, right, and I'm like, okay, Rihanna has 30 hit songs,
Mm-hmm.
and what I thought was cool about the halftime show was she did almost all of them,
Yeah,
and she just did them in rapid succession.
yeah,
It was just her, and they went one to the other. I thought the choreography and all the dancers up there were cool. The platforms, it was a really nicely like fast paced show.
yeah.
It's not my hill to die on, but
Right. No, I
But what
was.
I will say is this: that the second she started doing the ass grabbing and all that shit, I didn't mind it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh great, here come the fucking Facebook moms. Here comes Ben Shapiro. Here
Right.
comes all the
Here comes the
I didn't
critiques.
like the, I didn't like the grabbing the butt. Shut up.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are so predictable.
Yeah.
Shut up. Who
Yeah.
cares? What So I remember some Facebook mom posted on Facebook that's in my network after like, well, what did we all think of Rihanna's halftime show? I'll tell you what I think. Who gives a fuck what you think?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just tired of people with their fucking opinions on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like shut up. She just either way you're talking about it and that's good, right?
Right.
'Cause you're just making her trend.
Right. No, and I guess that's the
People
whole.
still don't people still don't get this.
Right, and I guess that's the whole thing. Because like I, even before I saw the thing, it was just trending because of like people just being like, "Oh, she's pregnant again." That was like the number one thing that I would see people just sharing that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in
Your
terms of the
thoughts on the halftime show?
well, my thoughts of it was that it was just kind of like, my first impression was just like, oh, there's a lot of Kanye here, which I found bold.
Oh yeah.
I found the amount
All
of
the lights.
Kanye-ness to it all very bold. And by that I
So
mean,
what do you mean by Kanye-ness?
well,
Because I'm thinking you mean when like she did all of the lights, like it
yeah.
was Kanye's song, or do you mean something else?
Well, I mean that plus more things because she did that song, right? But the whole presentation of it was very much reminiscent of like the Pablo days, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but the person whom I don't know if introduced, but at the very least, like established and popularized the whole like I am performing on a floating stage thing was him.
Okay.
Because for those concerts, he had a floating stage. He was like above the crowd, and he was like on this thing.
Yeah.
And subsequently, a lot of people have done that. But and also when he performed, like when he did the only existing Kids See Ghosts performance concert with Kid Cudi on Camp Flog Gnaw, they also had like a floating stage that would just go up and down. But they were like inside of like this like plastic box, like this bubble. But there was that aspect of it. But also she was dressed like him, like that outfit that she was wearing was just like he wore, in the very like viral and iconic like Donda release concerts. Like if you
Yeah.
look up like Kanye Red Donda, you'll probably see that he was wearing like this like puffer red with red pants and red shoes. He was just wearing like this all red outfit. Um, and then I saw videos, I saw like posts and stuff about the connections, like what what she wore, the stage presentations, and the songs. Because not only is All of the Lights a Kanye song, but also I believe, and I might be wrong, but I believe that who runs this town is produced by Kanye. Like when
Yeah.
she was like, "Who's gonna run this town?" That song, because it's a Jay-Z song, and I believe it's a Jay-Z song on the Blueprint 3, and it's like a Kanye produced album. So
Yeah.
that was like it's just that I was like there's a lot of Kanye here for some reason, and I don't know why.
Mm.
And then I was also like, well, he's getting paid, because if you can't just perform the man's song, so he's gonna get a cut of this. But it was just interesting and bold to me that she was putting so much forth about somebody that's basically like out of the public sphere and canceled because it's canceled,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found that very like interesting, but I also found that it also seems to me like nobody really wants to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that all that came from it was like the controversy about what you're saying, and then the stuff about the second pregnancy. But everybody was just kind of very hush-hushed, like about the, like, oh, well, what about everything else? What about everything else? Because I even watched like a Fantano video where he talked about it, and he acknowledged the Kanye parts of it. And then he was like, and she did good by not, mentioning or like talking too much about it. But it's like even if she did good by not talking about it, it's still there, you know. And I feel like somebody should ask the question of like, why was there so much of this? You know, like what are you trying to say? Are you just like his friend and you just wanted to kind of like, you know, put it out there? I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I felt like outside of the floating platforms, I thought that it was very one-dimensional in terms of presentation.
I got you.
Yeah.
I can respect that. You know, again, it's not my hill to die on. My expectations were, you know, as low as dinosaur bones. I
Yeah.
mean, already, you know, I stopped watching after the halftime show. My thing is with football, and I want to circle back to Kanye in like 5 seconds here, but because there's something I want to bring up.
Yeah.
But my thing, dude, every time I try to watch you know me, I'm not a sports guy. I like UFC, MMA fighting. That's it. You know, and WWE, which is a fake sport.
Right.
But
Literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, every time a big football game, right? Like, so I'll go down to Clemson, hang out with my sister, go to a football game. You know, the Superbowl's on. I'll try to watch that, dude. Every time the same thing happens. I'll sit down, right, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this football game and I'm gonna get into it. And dude,
You never get into it.
halfway through the first quarter, I'm like, fuck, I can't do this. I can't do this. Dude, football, dude, for me, it's fun for like 5-10 minutes. Then I'm just like, I can't do it. Dude, my brain and sports are just like, I can't. It's so, oh, dude, it's just not, it's not engaging for me, man. That's just me. No shade thrown to anyone out there who loves sports, who loves athletics, you know. Watch it, man. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I mean, I didn't watch it at all. You know, like I
Yeah.
didn't watch it at all. Like I forgot that it was happening. I remember that I remember that at some point I just like noticed that there was like not a lot of traffic. And I was like, why isn't there a lot of traffic around? You know? And then something in my head clicked and I was like, oh, people are probably like watching football because football is like a national, like the Super Bowl is like a national holiday here. It is, you know, the Super Bowl is like Thanksgiving. It's like people are supposed to be at home, you know. And then the next day, because after I had that thought, I forgot about it. And then the next day, I saw the Rihanna stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I guess the Super Bowl was yesterday," you know?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't. There was, yeah. I think last year, I forget who performed last year. I think last year I watched like a little bit of it, or whenever it was that The Weeknd performed, which I think it was 2020 that he performed. I watched that one. I think.
Yeah, that was fairly recently.
Oh no, last year was the one where Dr. Dre performed.
Yeah, that was and that was with everybody.
Yeah,
right?
he
A
brought
ton of
out like
people came
Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Anderson .Paak. Like he just brought out a bunch of people.
Right.
And that one, to me, better than this one, better than the Rihanna one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I want to circle back to Kanye. So I don't know if you heard about this, but South Park is back.
Yeah.
And South Park is back, ladies and gentlemen. They came back last week. I watched the first episode, the season premiere, twice now. One the first time I think I fell asleep halfway through, but only not because it was bad, just I was tired. And so I rewatched it, the whole thing. And dude, they ripped Kanye.
Is it long?
I mean, no, it's a regular 20-something minute episode, but dude, they ripped Kanye a new asshole.
Really?
The episode is called Edward. The episode is called Cupid Yay.
Cupid?
Yeah, Cupid Yay.
Okay.
And basically, the storyline is Kyle and Tolkien, the black character, are like buddies now, and they do TikToks together.
Okay.
Right? And Stan is sort of feels bad because Kyle's like not hanging out with him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cartman decides to use it as an excuse to like drive a wedge between Jewish and black kids at the school.
So Cartman is like what, Kanye?
Yeah, so there's actually a scene where he goes on the news and he's dressed just like Kanye with like the mask and everything, like the weird hoodie and the mask.
Yeah.
And he just is talking about he's basically spouting off that stuff. I think it's like the Black Hebrew Israelites, something like that.
Yeah.
That Kanye has expressed view.
That's a thing. Yeah, that is
support.
Certainly a thing. Yeah.
Funny enough, I saw one of those guys was like, I saw him on the street like.
Mm-hmm.
Preaching about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where it was. I think it was down in Atlanta. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, dude, the episode was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
And then like Cartman starts spreading a rumor. He starts spreading a rumor around the school that like Kyle runs Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
I see what's going on.
And so then there's a scene where I think the kid's name is Jimmy, the kid with the crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes up to Kyle in the hallway. And he's just like, "Hey, Kyle." And Kyle's like, "Hey, Jimmy." And Jimmy just stands there like smiling at Kyle for like 5 to 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle's just like, "What do you need, Jimmy?" And Jimmy's just like, "Oh, I just wanted to give you my headshot." Kyle's like, "Why would that be?"
Oh, because he runs Hollywood.
Yeah, then I think Jimmy says something like, "Just in case you need my headshot in the future for any reason." And dude, everybody in school starts like pitching movies to Kyle. Yeah. I think there's a scene where Randy comes over the Brafilovsky's house, and it actually is just like, "All right, listen, can you?" He says to the Kyle's dad,
yeah,
he's like, "All right, can you tell your son like to like enough with the liberal message, the leftist messages and movies?
Yeah.
Like we've just had enough of it. Just tell your son like we're done with it."
Yeah.
Dude, they fucking took Kanye down, and the name of the episode, Cupid Yay, it's the name of Cartman. He has like a little Cupid on his shoulder.
It was basically like
that's
Kanye.
Like, yeah, and it's like anti-Semitic, and I think it even says at one point like, "I spend all my time in the studio" or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, South Park. Yeah, South Park ripped Kanye up, man.
Well, they've done that multiple times.
Yeah. They have a field day with Kanye.
Yeah, man. They do. Every
Fish
time
episode.
Yeah, no, every time that he gives them an excuse to just clown his ass, they do it. Like with the whole previously with the whole fish episode with him, fish sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wonder sometimes how Trey Parker and Matt Stone even navigate Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because
really
they've made fun of everybody, like literally everybody. Ben Affleck,
oh, yeah.
Jennifer Lopez. Like they have an episode of Ben Affleck, like where they make fun of Ben Affleck by saying that he comes from like a family of butt people. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen.
You haven't seen that? That it's like
no.
That it's like the whole episode is about how Ben Affleck is like an orphan, and he doesn't know who his parents are. And at the end of the episode, they reconnect him with his parents. And his parents are people whose faces are butts. They don't have eyes or mouths.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, no, because it's like because
That's hilarious.
It's like because of his like chin, because he has like one of those like chins like that.
Oh yeah, okay, I see it.
So because of that, his parents are butt people.
Oh my god, I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen that? Yeah.
Oh, this is an old one.
And when they talk, they like, I think they like poop or like fart or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's 2 episodes with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
One is back when they did the
Jennifer Lopez.
They used to have celebrities in South Park. The old episodes, they had celebrities just with the cutouts of their faces.
Yeah, they did. They used to have that before they had like this like Muppet things that they do, or like the normal just like South Park animated, celebrity. But no, they had a few episodes with Ben Affleck, because there's an episode with like Jennifer Lopez where Cartman. I think you've seen this one, right? Where
I've seen that.
He has like his hand is like Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah.
and Ben Affleck like falls in love with his hand because they did that at the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
that he was like dating her.
Okay, that's the one I've seen. So I haven't
Yeah.
seen the butt people one though.
No,
Ben
no, the butt people stuff.
Affleck.
The butt people one is a different one.
Oh man, dude. I mean, I was watching. I rewatched the South Park the other day where the what's it called? The Tale of Scrody McBoogerballs.
Yeah,
That's one of. I think that's one of the best.
the one where they like
That's probably
write
the one
that book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And dude, in that episode, characters they actually call Sarah Jessica Parker, I think um like a donkey witch or something.
yeah,
And I'm like, man, how do these guys even show their fucking faces
Yeah.
at like any event or any
Yeah.
like just even on a Hollywood Boulevard?
but it's,
Like
it's
that I don't know, that was mean.
no,
man.
dude.
That
That's
was
what
really
I was gonna
mean.
say. Like, it's
I know
so,
I know I just said some really, I know
Yeah.
I said something mean about Jay Leno's wife, but I also don't. We also don't have as big of a platform.
well,
so.
but that's the thing, right? Because it's, and that's what I was gonna say to you. Which at some point, with those guys, at some point it just kind of feels like they're angry, like. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do stuff like
Yeah.
Kanye, it's like whatever, like Kanye's a douchebag, so it's like and everybody has felt like they have carte blanche to say whatever about that guy his whole career,
Yeah.
like whenever that Taylor Swift thing happened, everybody was just like, okay, we can just say whatever about this guy, whether he deserves it or not, that's debatable. But when you do stuff like that, like, about like Jennifer Lopez or about Ben Affleck or about Sarah Jessica Parker, just like people who are just doing their own thing, not offending anybody, they're not taking microphones away from anybody. They're just folks that happen to be famous. And when they do stuff like that about people like that, I always look at it and I'm like, but why are you doing this? Like, what is motivating you to do this, because sometimes I feel like they hate certain celebrities just because they just hate them, and there's like, oh, because you hate this person, you're gonna make fun of them. It's like, okay, I guess.
Because even back then, because I mean, back then, now making fun of Ben Affleck now, I could see because he had he's had at least one moment. He had that moment on Bill Maher's show where he's like, it's gross, it's racist that everybody roasted him for. Or whatever,
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, with Sam, where he attacked Sam Harris.
I remember that.
But I mean, back then, I don't know. I totally agree with you. Where it just seems like unwarranted to just attack him like that.
Yeah.
I get them going after like Mel Gibson or but I don't know. Just the thing is, like, for me, right, when I said that shit about Jay Leno's wife, I said that with the, if I thought that there was beyond anything above like a 1% chance that woman would ever hear this episode of this podcast, right, I would not have said that.
Yeah.
So with like whereas like with Trey, I'm not, and this isn't me trying to say that I'm like better than Trey Parker or Matt Stone or anything.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they know 100% like this is gonna get back to this celebrity. Like you were on South Park the other day.
Yeah.
100%. Like
100%.
100%.
100%.
Like almost 100% guaranteed. Almost 100% guaranteed. Sarah Jessica Parker was told by somebody, "Hey, you were on South Park."
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. They're kind of bullies, and I think people sometimes feel vindicated with them because you're just like, well, they're celebrities, so we can make fun of them. But some celebrities, you don't want to make fun of them because they might not have the best, they might not be in the best mental state, and then they become guilty of something.
Yeah. This whole idea of like celebrities aren't human and don't have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of, people don't say it outright. Like no one actually thinks that, but people sort of act as if that is the case. I think that, oh, poor so and so crying in his mansion, and it's like, well, shit can still hurt your fucking. Shit can still hurt your feelings,
right?
Even if you live in a mansion. I mean, come on.
If anything, points to that is just how many celebrities have passed away recently. Just through their own hands, not because of like, oh, they, it was a shooting or anything like that. Just like people like Mac Miller and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Where it's like, you kind of think about stuff like that. You're like, oh, maybe you guys should leave Sarah Jessica Parker alone. What did that woman do to those guys? I bet one of them just has a crush on her.
Dude, I mean, and there was like barely a reason for her to even be in that episode, man. Like, they could have easily scrapped her from that episode, and it would have. I mean, it was really mean, because then there's a scene later where Cartman dresses her up as like a moose or something to try to get her
horrible.
Shot by hunters.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's horrible.
So bad.
That's horrible.
And all he does is like put little like moose antlers on her head.
And that's it. That's it. That's horrible.
Terrible, man.
That's awful. Horrible.
I want to just fly through a few. If it's good with you, I'm gonna fly through some movie news real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we can like speed lightning round these, right? And just kind of say a couple of brief things on them, and then I just want to blow through them. So, John Wick 4 trailer came out. I might be a little late on this. I think it came out like a week ago or something. I know I watched it maybe a week ago. Comes out in what was it, March? John Wick Chapter 4.
Do they all kind of come around the same time? Because I somehow I remember.
Yeah, they all come out in the first quarter.
Yeah. I remember like the third one coming out around this time.
Yeah, March 24th, 2023.
Nice.
I'm sure you and I are going to be in theaters watching it.
Oh, dude, yes, absolutely. Dude. That's going to be a great time. Like when I watched John Wick 3, that was such a great time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, seeing those movies I've seen every one of them in theaters except for the first one. So two of them.
I've seen one of them in theaters. The other two I saw it on my computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Those are the.
Was it?
Sorry, Lionsgate.
No, I was gonna say I'm sorry, David Lynch.
Oh yeah, get real.
Get
Edward.
real. You watch movies on your fucking iPhone. Get real.
Yeah, for context, everybody, filmmaker David Lynch thinks it's absurd to watch movies on an iPhone.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with that.
Yeah.
I don't 100% agree, but there's no comparison. I mean, going to see John Wick 3 in theaters versus watching it on your iPhone. I mean, there's no comparison.
No, there's no comparison. But at the same, but obviously the end all to this is, but you gotta do what you gotta do. If you can only watch a movie on your phone, then so be it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the car, and you're taking turns driving with somebody, and you're trying to watch something on your phone, and you want to watch a movie, hey,
go ahead.
Yeah. Now, I would totally agree with David Lynch if someone has a flat screen, but they're sitting there watching a movie on their phone. I would definitely question them.
Yeah.
Like, why?
It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, like, what's going on here?
Yeah. That would be concerning behavior, I guess.
What else you got?
Yeah, so we're already tangent.
Yeah, we're already honoring the name of this podcast.
Yeah. And yes, I know that's not a word, okay? Listeners, shut up. I know tangenting isn't a real word.
Better be.
Watch it be one.
Yeah, dude, it might be, honestly.
Blood and Honey. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey came out recently.
Oh yeah, that horror movie, right?
Yeah, right. Hot off the heels of the Grinch horror movie. Like, this is a thing now. And they're all shit. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey has a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
They're all shit. Oh,
I think the Grinch one had single digits on Rotten Tomatoes too.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name of that one? What's the name of that Grinch one?
The mean one.
The mean one. That's right. That's right.
It's 21%. But probably only because less people saw it. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean. Oh God. This is a weird trend. Like kids stuff becoming horror movies. I mean, it could be done well. It's just really not being done well right now. But yeah, I first heard, dude, when I first heard about Blood and Honey, it was actually from one of my coworkers. The television series I'm working on. Shout out Stan.
Hmm.
We were in a meeting and he mentioned it. I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Dude, look it up right now." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard it was just god awful.
It sounds.
Um, yeah. Um, Scream 6
Mhm.
is coming out soon.
Who made
I want to
that?
say that's in March as well.
Is that guy dead? Is John Carpenter dead? He is, isn't
John Carpenter?
he? Yeah.
Oh, you mean Wes Craven? Wes Craven started the Scream series.
Okay.
Yeah, Wes Craven is did pass away
But John
a few years
Carpenter
ago.
is alive.
Yeah, John Carpenter is alive.
So
Yep.
everybody listening, John Carpenter. I know. So whoever's listening to this probably thought to themselves like, "What?" They probably googled it too. So I know he's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
He's chilling.
My guy John Carpenter, man. John Carpenter's awesome. Wes Craven was awesome. Um, yeah, Wes Craven was a master. But yeah, glad to see his legacy still living on. Um, to spawn that many iconic horror characters. I mean, what an honor, man.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Scream 6. Looks like that comes out March 10th. Yeah. It's got Jenna Ortega in it. She's in a lot of stuff these days.
Yeah, that person's doing a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Heard that show Wednesday is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's one of
I
the.
don't have any desire to watch
No,
it.
I have like no inclination, especially for me. Like, and you know this. Like, I just have like this like humongous like back catalog of things that I have to watch. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this. And the number one
I
thing in
mean,
my
same here.
yeah, and the number one thing in my head right now to watch is the Last of Us show because I just see so much positive stuff about it. I mean, you told me about it last week too.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like I have no inclination of watching some like Netflix
Yeah.
show that ultimately is just a fad. Like because it just feels like one of those like it came and went type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very hard. I will say when you're a film nerd, just kind of an art junkie in general,
Hmm.
when people recommend things to you, right, that aren't like if you recommend something to me really strongly,
Hmm.
I'll take it seriously, because you have like a very critical eye as I do, so
Right.
you and I went to film school. We, kind of I'm not saying our taste is better than anybody else's,
We are
although it could
leagues
be.
above the rest.
Yeah, but you also know me better than most people do, so you kind of know what I would like,
Yeah.
but be that as it may, the point I'm trying to make is it's really hard when just random people that you talk to in life or like coworkers or some shit recommend something to me. It's really hard for me to because I'll say like, oh, I'll have to check it out, but it's really hard for me these days to even say that with any
Hmm.
amount of sincerity,
Hmm.
because it's just like, man, I have this huge catalog of things. It has to like really pique my interest for me to be like to actually mean it when I say
Right.
I'll check that out,
Right.
Um
Because
uh
otherwise it's just kind of like a half-hearted, like maybe,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I've been trying to come up with more sincere ways to to respond to people
Just
who
saying like
recommend
I
me
don't think
things.
so. I don't got time for that.
No, more like I don't know. Like I've been trying. Like I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
I'll add it to my list.
Yeah.
I'll have to add it to my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tough, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough with people who don't know you and know your taste and
Hmm.
don't know your favorite movies.
Hmm.
Because then they're just recommending things to you that they think are good, but it's like,
Right.
well, you don't know my tastes,
Yeah. And then you watch it and you're like, what is this garbage? What is this
Yeah.
trash? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
People recommend stuff to me sometimes where I just Google it. Like they tell me about it and I Google it. You know, like a job that I had, a guy would recommend me a bunch of movies.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like random movies that
I,
I've
I already
never.
know where you're going
Oh
with
yeah, that
this.
I'd
Yeah.
never even heard of them before. Like never even heard of them. Just the randomest movies. and I would, he would go like, yeah, check it out, and I would go up and like look them up, and they would have like -% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, dude, I'm not even gonna bother with this.
Yeah.
I won't bother with this. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. It happens. That happens with me too. That's happened to me so many times where someone's like, "Oh man, this movie's good," or "This movie, like you got to check this movie out." And I look it up, and when you could you could discern too, because some people recommend you something, and it might have like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes or 50, but even as low as 40, right? But if you look into it, it's like, oh, this has a cult following, or it has people that actually like it, right? Because the whole thing about the tomato meter is like there's a difference between something that has 40%, because you also have to look at who's in that 40%. Are these people in the 40% who liked it, who are just kind of like, yeah, it was pretty good, it was passable, or are people in that 40% diehards and it has a cult following?
Right.
That's when I pay attention, right? Because I'm like, oh, there's a subset of people who really like this movie, right?
Right.
So yeah,
but no,
but I've been there.
Yeah, no. Any other movie news from your end?
Yeah. Did you see the trailers or any marketing or ads or anything for that movie 65 with Adam Driver?
You know that if you say something to me that starts with "Did you see the trailer?" I did not see it.
I know. That's why I changed my tune and said ads.
Any marketing.
Any brochures? Yeah. Did you get any brochures in the mail on that new Adam Driver movie?
No, I did not. What is that about? 65.
It's like a dinosaur horror film.
65.
It looks better than any Jurassic World movie that's come out anytime recently. This also comes out in March. Dude, March is stacked, man.
Directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Okay.
It looks it looks fun, Yeah. I'm certainly interested in seeing a different. The only dinosaur stuff that we've really gotten in the past few years are just Jurassic Park related.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see someone else's, take on, dinosaurs.
From the writers of A Quiet Place. No, it looks cool, man. It looks cool. The only misgiving that I have is that in the poster he's like with a kid. And I already feel ways about that.
Well, yeah, because everybody's trying to do the Logan Last of Us thing these days.
Yeah.
And it's becoming very tired with like a father-daughter surrogate relationship.
Yeah, and that's literally looking at this like pictures. That's what it looks like, and I have hesitation. Because it's like
it's just a tired trope.
Yeah, no, and it's exactly what you and I talked about, like in the Intergalactic, podcast, where I was just like, sometimes people say to me like, "You want to watch a movie?" and I go like, and it's because of that, dude. Because sometimes you look at something, and you already know. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a dinosaur movie with Adam Driver and this kid, that is not his kid, but he's gonna protect that kid. And what do you know? Adam Driver, he may die at the end of the movie, but the kid's gonna live.
Right.
It's like one of those things where it's like,
and prop up like a little makeshift grave stone for him or something.
Yeah, and then it's gonna have like, here lies Wolverine, one of the X-Men, but it's gonna be in the movie 65 with Adam Driver. But you know what I'm saying? Where it's like sometimes, we've accepted mediocrity.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's kind of that's where I end this sentence.
I'm calling it now, dude. This movie is gonna end with the little girl. Like, so he's gonna die, and she's gonna bury him, and then she's gonna make like a little rock pyre thingy for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling it.
So it's gonna be literally the end of Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude. That's gonna be it. Dude.
Well,
people will. You heard it here.
Yeah. No, you heard it here. Like anybody listening to this. If you watch that 65 movie with Adam Driver, which I will, I'll probably watch it because it looks fun, regardless of whatever I'm saying. anybody listening to this, come back to an hour and 14 minutes into this episode, more or less, depending on how the edit comes around. And listen, watch that movie and be like, oh yeah, those guys called it. They said exactly the kind of movie this was going to be. By just looking at one picture of the movie, they knew what was going to happen.
Oh yeah. Let me see here. Deadpool 3's got Wolverine. That's not really news, but I think there was some update recently, but I can't remember what it was. That'll be cool. Deadpool 3 with Wolverine. I gonna be Hugh Jackman as well.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
huge jacked man.
Yeah, Hugh's Jack, man. Fucking stupid. They're doing a new Insidious sequel. I think Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson are returning.
You and I saw the last one of those. You remember that? That piece of
the
garbage. Oh, okay. That was The Conjuring. Okay.
That crap.
Yeah.
But the last Insidious movie was crap too. I saw that. Insidious: The Last Key. Garbage. That was bad, man. That was so bad. Not scary in the least.
Yeah.
And we went over that a couple weeks ago, how scary the first Insidious movie is. Yeah, I don't know, man. Horror sequels, it's like there's just like this inability of Hollywood production companies to actually make good horror sequels.
Yeah.
At least in bulk. I mean, there might be one or two good horror sequels, if that, but it's really, there's like an inability. There's something missing there.
Yeah.
Probably has something to do with the fact that once something is explored to a certain extent, it's no longer scary because it's known. I don't know.
And also just like kind of the idea of it just kind of, being given off to people who maybe don't understand the IP or the idea very well,
Yeah, exactly. They're and then the last thing, they're doing an Exorcist reboot. Why?
An Exorcist reboot?
I feel like
every year there's a movie that you could technically be like, oh, this is an Exorcist reboot. I think when we saw Barbarian, there was a trailer for like an exorcism movie. Remember that? With like some nurse. I think it's called like the Devil Calls or something like that.
Pray for the Devil.
Yeah, Pray for the Devil. Yeah, that you could literally call that movie and be like, oh, this is just an Exorcist reboot, Because every year there's an exorcism movie. Every year there's like a horror movie just pandering to the exorcism crowd.
Yeah.
So there's an exorcism in this movie.
Scary.
Come watch this movie. There'll be an exorcism here. the devil's gonna possess somebody, and at some point, some kind of priest is gonna show up and they're gonna exorcise that devil. And you better know that that's gonna be spooky and it's gonna be scary and people are gonna be floating and levitating.
Yeah. There's always a shot of some girl like contorting herself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And that shit ain't scary because that shit ain't real.
Right.
I mean, dude, this stuff has been investigated. Exorcisms, haunted houses, all that crap. I mean, stuff is bunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people have gone
it's
to
baloney.
exorcism.
It's baloney.
Yeah, people have gone to exorcisms and investigated this stuff. This is what drives me nuts about people who believe this stuff like wholeheartedly. It's like, they've done investigations. There are skeptics who have actually gone and like attended exorcisms. They've looked at haunted houses. They've spent nights in haunted houses. They've done studies. They have put the claims to the test. They've put the feet. They have put the feet to the fire.
No, dude, they exorcised the claims.
Yeah,
they exorcised
good one,
them.
Edward.
They took the demons out.
Nice.
They took the demons out of the exorcisms.
Right. And nothing, dude. Nothing. It yields no results.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple foundations around the globe, throughout this country alone, that have offered $1 million prizes to anybody who can demonstrate the supernatural. None of these prizes have been given away.
Yeah.
Not one. Why? I actually, dude, I spoke to somebody on Reddit, which is never a good way to start a sentence.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody should record a video of themselves, like, just like themselves, just like this, like you and I are looking at each other right now.
Yeah.
Farting. And then the fart happens, and they go like, where did it come from? Where did it come from? And then again, like,
yeah, right.
And then it's like, what happened? And then they should submit that as proof of the supernatural.
But that's all supernatural claims. That's everyone's ghost story is like, I felt an itch. It was a ghost.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I saw there was a Reddit thread, which I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a couple weeks now. There was this Reddit thread, and pause for a second before we get too far off. That Exorcist movie is going to be directed by David Gordon Green.
Really? Oh, that's interesting, man. They should have opened up with that before I clowned all over it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
No, that's interesting. Just out of him being an alum from the same school we went from, I'll give him a shot. Although the past 3 movies he's made, which is the past 3 Halloween movies, from what I understand, have all sucked ass.
Halloween Kills was awful, and I didn't see Halloween Ends, and not a priority.
Yeah.
Back to what I was saying about ghosts. To close out one tangent and continue another. The Reddit post that I'm looking at, right? It's like the topic was, what convinced you of the supernatural, right? And I mean, I'm looking through them, and I'm like, okay, I'm expecting to get some like. I actually was listening, because you can actually listen to Reddit threads on YouTube, because there's like voices that'll read them. Yeah. And I'm listening to it in the car at night. This was a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be creepy, right? And dude, the first story is they're like, the story basically amounts to, I worked at a pool closed. I'm in the office of the pool, right? Like the little lifeguard area, the little lifeguard office or whatever. And I hear a pitter-patter of feet and a little kid laughing. And I go out, and there's no little kid. No one was in the pool. It was closed. Yeah. Ghost. It's like, that
it was a ghost.
Is what convinced you?
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the thing. That's why we need skepticism, because it's like, you haven't ruled out every other possible explanation.
Right.
That's the issue with supernatural claims, right? Claim of someone being demon possessed. Have you ruled out mental illness? Have you ruled out? That's pretty much it. Mental illness. Right. have you ruled out lying? Have you ruled out faking it? Right. That's the problem, is people don't rule out natural explanations. Right. Because that's the only thing we can explore is the natural world. Right. As far as I know, and as far as most people know, it seems, we have no ability to explore the supernatural world. Right. Despite what Charles Manson used to say in the interviews about how he was exploring the spirit world. Right. In his jail cell. Yeah.
Whatever it is that he was doing. Is that guy alive?
Oh, yeah. No, he died a few years ago, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I remember it was in the news. Died in prison. Not much of a loss.
Yeah, no, not much of a loss at all.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's the problem with supernatural claims. That's why your fart thing is actually not that far off. Like that's like every ghost story that anyone tells me. Like, I love talking with people about their ghost stories. I have ghost stories, right? But I don't believe they were ghosts. That's the only difference, right? Like, I actually, what I like to tell people is, I've seen a ghost, but I don't believe in ghosts. Right. Right? And people are like, what? And I'm like, because I don't think it was actually a ghost, right? There's other explanations that are real easy. The problem, like the pool story, it's like, okay, you think there's any way, right? You're at a pool, right? I'm assuming you're in a neighborhood. Did you ever think that it's at night, you're in a neighborhood, there's adjacent streets to the pool?
Yeah.
Don't you think a kid was just probably running around in their bare feet in front of their house, and it echoed, and you heard it from the office? Then you go out and look at the pool, and oh, there's no little kid because the little kid was down the street.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. It's the same with like their Loch Ness monster claims, where people are like, "I saw a wake, and there were no boats." It's like, so. You know, that is your conclusion. So your conclusion is Loch Ness monster.
Right.
Huge leap, right?
Right.
That's the problem with paranormal and supernatural claims, including exorcisms, which is how this got started.
Right.
And that's why, you know, I recently I watched a video on Friday, I think. Dr. Todd Grande, who's a psychologist, he made a video about the Amityville horror, like the true story about the Amityville horror. That shit is bunk, dude. That shit's garbage. Like that is a hoax, dude. The movie, the Amityville Horror, came out I think 2 years after the actual events happened. You know why? Because right after the alcoholic parents left the house, they found a screenwriter in Hollywood, and according to the screenwriter, during the meeting, they went through 4 bottles of wine. And their imaginations just went wild.
Their imaginations went wild.
But people don't, that's the problem. People don't look into this stuff. You know, they hear the Amityville horror and, oh, that's based on true events. And wow, yeah, man, that house must be haunted. No, people have lived at 112 Ocean Avenue, the site of the Amityville horror, since then. And they've reported nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, you know, I wouldn't live in that house.
Yeah.
But just out of principle.
But still, yeah.
You know, on the off chance, because I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying ghosts don't exist, but I'm saying there's issues with all the claims that they do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that much to say after that, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, you know, your whole thing with the fart, like, I remember a while back talking to someone on Reddit. It was like in the Left Hand Path subreddit.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Left Hand Path is like a spiritual movement that encompasses like Satanism, Luciferianism, Setianism. It's the darker pagan practices, right? You know, I'm not. Again, you can. I'm not.
Jake reveals himself.
Right.
Jake shows his hand.
I like some of the philosophies, but you know, again, I'm not, and I'm a spiritual person, so I take some of the principles and the meditations and stuff, but I definitely don't. I'm definitely skeptical. I actively don't believe in you know the more paranormal stuff. But you know, there was someone in there claiming like that they have seen, you know, demons and that they can turn skin into gold and that they can walk on water. And I'm like, you know, there's foundations, right? That hey, that'll pay you $1 million if you can show them that you can turn skin into gold or walk on water, right? Like, this is not believable at all.
It's one of those things where it's like, you know, I have the supernatural powers, but, you know, if you're recording me or if you're witnessing the powers with the wrong intentions, the powers sense your intentions, and then they won't manifest themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's every religion. Every religion and all paranormal claims and stuff like that are they call that unfalsifiability, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unfalsifiable. Like you can't. But the problem with unfalsifiable claims is if you can't falsify it, you also can't
claim it as true.
Verify it either. Yeah. If you can't falsify it, you can't verify it either. It goes both ways. So that's the thing. So like claims about the afterlife, it's unfalsifiable because no one can come back from the dead and say and verify it. Like, yep, it's true.
Yeah.
Like heaven exists or whatever.
Yeah.
People have said they have, but we know, neuroscience knows why that can't happen, and we won't even get into near-death experiences. But anyway, it's my skeptic rant.
Well, all of that being said, as having ranted and as having tangented, do you have anything that you've seen the past week that you wanted to talk about?
The only thing that I have seen this past week was the film of the week.
Really?
And
you pulled an Edward this time, dude.
Well, so movie-wise, show-wise, I mentioned South Park already. The new South Park episode. I started watching the Cyberpunk anime based on the video game on Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's right. There is one of those, isn't there?
Yeah, it received critical acclaim. I'm only on like episode 2, I think.
What do you think so far?
I like it. It's good. It's very expressive. It's definitely there's a lot there for even like hardcore anime fans, I think. Which I'm just more of a me. I'm more of like a casual anime fan. I like the anime that I like. Right. I don't actively seek it out.
Right.
But the Cyberpunk anime is pretty solid. I like it so far.
Okay.
And then the new Last of Us episode was phenomenal.
Dude, I'm like, I'll watch it. Ideally, like, a goal that I have, I guess, is to have seen at least the first episode by next week's podcast.
Yeah, it was the best one yet. It was everything, dude. It was funny. It was bad. It was devastating. It was scary. It was everything, dude.
Yeah.
It was. This Last of Us show is something special. It's not quite. It's not at like the level of something like Breaking Bad or anything yet, but and I say yet because it feels like it's probably getting there. Again, we're only 4 episodes in.
Yeah, you're pulling out the big gun, dude. You're not saying like this is not at the level of Game of Thrones. You're going like all the way to the top.
Yeah, no, I would say it's about at that level.
Okay.
I mean, it's good. It's thrilling. It's thrilling. What about you, man? I've been talking a lot the past few minutes.
No, don't worry, man. I have, as I do, I've listened to some beats, some music, some musicalities. As I promised last week, I listened to the rest of Common's discography the rest of it that I was interested in. I listened to all his albums that came out in the 2000s, basically, or in the before 2010s part of the 2000s. I listened to, as I did last week, I listened to like Water for Chocolate, and as you remember, I just said that it was really long and it became kind of tedious. But I listened to his 2005 Kanye produced, as Kanye keeps coming back into this album B. It's called that B. And that album is great hip hop album. If I can recommend somebody a song and for you to go listen to and be like, oh yeah, this is great. The song They Say, which is the 10th song, which features Kanye and I believe John Legend. That's a great song. Or the second song, The Corner, or the third song, Go. Great. I mean, they all showed up for that album. It was just Kanye, like, very beginning of his career, still trying to be like, I'm just the guy who makes great music, and he made a great album. And I listened to the follow-up to that one, the 2007 album, Finding Forever, which is also front to back produced by Kanye. And this album's good. It's not great like the other one, but it's still good, and I believe it's still worth listening to, and it's not bloated. It's only 13 tracks, 53 minutes. And for this one, it felt like Kanye showed up, but Common didn't, which is an interesting thing to say, because Kanye as a producer, he showed up. I couldn't tell you a song. I couldn't tell you a single track in that album that I was like, that's a bad beat, or that's poorly produced, or that's not interesting. They are at least interesting, what Kanye did. But it felt like Common as a rapper and Common as a hook writer, he didn't come through. Like, that was the weakest part of it, is just Common. Like, there's similes in there that are just like really bad. It just felt like Common. It felt like Common's first, like, I am really successful album. So much so that there's tracks in which he references being an actor or he references being successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just felt like this album where he didn't know how to be relatable or communicate anymore. So he comes across rapping, he comes across like either overly preachy, overly conscious, or overly sappy or like hammy. So he just couldn't. The balance that he found in B of just being conscious but also being, very confident, in what he was saying, very soulful, because it's a very soulful album, that B album. He did not do it here. He did not land. He didn't stick the landing. I would give this album like a 6 or a 7. A good album, And if I would recommend something, it would be track number 6, which features D'Angelo, pretty good track. The track number 5 called "I Want You," which features will.i.am, or the track number 11 called "Misunderstood," which features and the samples Nina Simone. So I listened to Common.
I like a good will.i.am feature.
Yeah, no, that song "I Want You," that's a good will.i.am feature. So that's it for Common. And then I listened to 2 albums by a band, or rather a duo, I think, called "The Comet Is Coming." That's the name of the duo or the group, and it is an electronic / EDM / new progressive jazz group. Mm-hmm. And I listened to 2 of their albums. The first one, the 2019 album called "Trust in the Life Force of the Deep Mystery," and it looks like that, the cover. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I listened to that, and then I listened to their follow-up album to that one, the 2022 album, Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam. And the cover looks like this. Looks kind of like a weird, like, Death Star with a beam shooting out of it. Almost like a blueprint for like a Death Star or something.
Yeah.
And both of those albums are 40 minutes long. Yeah, both of them are 40 minutes long. The first one has 9 tracks. The second one has 11. And both of them are great. Like, just great, If you're somebody that really likes... If you're somebody who's interested in jazz, progressive jazz, or like electronic dance music, these 2 albums are great. The first one, the 2019 one, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. Okay. And if you're interested in kind of grabbing like a little bite of it, song number 3, "Summon the Fire," or song number 6, "Astro Flying," I think are the best ones. And for the 20
artist name one more time.
Huh? Say that again.
Say the artist name one more time.
It's called "The Comet Is Coming."
Comet is coming.
Yeah, "The Comet Is Coming," and the album is the 2019 album "Trust in the Life Force of the Deep Mystery," and the 2022 album "Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam." And on "Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam," the best songs, in my opinion, were the second and third one, "Technicolor" and "Lucid Dreamer," and the song number 5, "Pyramids." The song number 6, "Frequency of the Feeling Expansion," or whatever it is. And the song number 10, "The Hammer." And I would give the Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam album, the follow-up to the other one, I would give that like an 8 or a 9. That was like really, really great.
Okay.
But
just added all those songs that you said to my electronic playlist.
No, dude, they're great. Like, if that comes up, you're gonna be like, "Oh, this is awesome." They're awesome driving songs, like, too, because they're just so like full of energy, and they are, they just build. The songs just keep building. So that's what I got. that's it for my end. Just music.
That's dope. I'm looking at the Afterlife. The London instrumentalists stoke future jazz with cosmic synths. I'm fucking in on that, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. That's yeah. I mean, cause you know me, I'm a huge jazz fan, but I
Hmm.
love like progressive jazz and
Hmm.
like acid jazz and
Hmm.
a little bit of electronic as well. It sounds like these guys will like pretty much deliver on that
No,
front.
dude, that's great. Both of those albums, they're both great.
Sweet.
So if those songs do something to you, then there's like deep cuts in that album that you might like more than I did.
Yeah. Shit. All right.
But that's it for me.
Sweet, dude. Well,
What do you
I
say?
think it's about that. I think it's about that time
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
sir.
let's do it. This week we watched the movie Timecrimes, or in Spanish, Los Cronocrímenes, which literally translates to like the chronological crimes. Not necessarily time crimes, but like chronological crimes.
Hmm.
Um, and it is a 2007 movie. If I'm not fucking up the movie that I myself made us watch.
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, and it is directed by Nacho Vigalondo. What do you think of Time Crimes?
Directed by Nacho Varga.
Yeah, right.
Um, dude, I really liked Time Crimes.
Yeah, it was dope.
I liked Time Crimes quite a bit.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this movie
yeah,
thoroughly.
yeah.
This was a fun ass
It
movie,
was.
dude,
It
and
was
it
super
kept
fun,
you.
and it was really short too.
And it was just what it goes to show what you can do with science fiction on a low
Hmm.
budget. I almost felt like this was sort of a production wise like a spiritual I mean not a spiritual sequel, but just in terms of the podcast, I thought it was a good follow up to After Earth, Another
Another.
Earth.
Yeah,
It's a different movie.
yeah.
Uh it sort of expanded it sort of we went we expanded upon sort of the low budget sci-fi
Hmm.
genre. I would also throw Donnie Darko into this mix where it's
Hmm.
like these I don't think Donnie Darko's that great to be
No, I don't
honest.
think so either.
Yeah. But you know I will commend Donnie Darko on as well as this movie on their abilities to um do this crazy sci-fi concept on such a low budget.
Hmm.
I always think that's really impressive. I think that's one of the things I really liked about Another Earth, and that's something that I really liked about this movie too.
Yeah.
Just this mind-blowing concept. This movie uses some good, solid um, time travel sort of paradoxes in a way.
Hmm.
So this movie brought two time travel paradoxes to mind, which this is something that I geek out on. So just
Hmm.
a little bit of science theory here.
Hmm.
So, um, time travel paradoxes, right? Something I'm really interested in. I love reading about the science of time travel.
Hmm.
So there are two main ones that you can see in this movie. One is called the grandfather paradox.
Hmm.
And the paradox goes, you're a time traveler, right?
Hmm.
You travel back in time and you to kill your grandfather, right?
Hmm.
Kill your grandfather.
If you had
Problem is,
succeeded, then
who
you would have
killed
exist.
exactly
Yeah.
who killed grandpa, right?
Right.
It could be that no matter what, you would just have to fail at killing your grandfather, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of that's sort of the scenario this movie seems to go with.
Hmm.
Um, or it could be that if you kill your grandfather in the past, right, that it creates two alternate universes,
Hmm.
right? That's sort of what the scientist in this film says at one point.
Hmm.
Um, but it almost seems like he was mistaken in that scene because I mean, I no, because he wasn't saying that. He was saying something else. Anyway, um, let's not get too crazy with this. This is like gonna hurt my brain.
Well, dude, that's the thing, like, because I was thinking about this movie this morning, like driving to work. I was like thinking about it because I was like,
same here.
Because I was like, does that movie make any fucking sense? Like that was like that was the thought that I had. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, I enjoyed that movie, but I was like, did that movie make any fucking sense? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the other paradox is, what is it? I don't remember the name of the paradox, but the paradox goes like this. Basically, you are a time traveler, right? And you take the complete works of William Shakespeare, right?
Mm-hmm.
You travel back in time and you give Shakespeare the complete works of William Shakespeare so that he can publish them. The problem is who wrote Shakespeare? Which came first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which came first? You giving him the works of Shakespeare or you finding the works of Shakespeare? Right? It's sort of like this loop that has no discernible beginning. This movie definitely seemed to utilize that paradox as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was just the whole movie, I'm thinking like, how did this even start? Like, who was the first one to? I couldn't even wrap my head around it. Like, who was the first? Who was the first Hector?
Who was the first Hector?
Into the time machine.
Yeah, which is yeah.
I couldn't even. It was making my brain hurt so bad.
Right.
I was just like, when did this begin?
Right.
Did this begin in the future or did it begin in the past?
Right.
I don't know, dude.
I don't know, man.
Give me your thoughts, Edward. Save us from my voice.
Well, dude, 'cause that's the thing. The catalyst for him, like the thing that initiated this whole thing is that he was like PVing with his binoculars, right? He was just trying to see if he found something out there, and he did. You know, he did. He found something, and if anything, this if there's like a theme to this movie, or if there's like two messages to this movie, one of them is, you know, don't mess with time, which is like a Rick and Morty reference. And the other one is like, don't be, you know, a lecherous old man. That's what he was doing. It's just like the only reason that he went out there is because he was like, oh, look at this, there's a woman over there, you know, and that kind of like catapulted him downward. But what you say is true, which is like who was the first one? You know, like which one? Like how? Because for that to initiate, he had to have already been traveled in time, and he had to, you know, commit crimes against that woman. And making her do all that stuff to get the other one's attention and get that other one to initiate the whole thing and getting that one in the time machine so that he could be the one again. But it's like, where's the first one? You know, yeah.
And what the thing too with the it really was just mind blowing. And what I loved about this movie too is it felt there was such like this. I don't know how else to describe it, like a sandbox feel to it.
Yeah, because it was like in this little area.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt like you were on this. It almost felt like you were on a Call of Duty map or something. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like it just felt like you were on this map, like this little map, and this just little game was taking place, right? Like it just felt like you were in a Call of Duty map the whole time, where like these events are progressing like along this small crop of this like acre of land or whatever. Mm-hmm. It really was wild, dude. It was just wild what they did with such no resources. I mean, I don't know what the resources were, but rather no like pizzazz. You know, no like.
Chronologically, this movie starts with him getting out of that time machine, doesn't it?
Like him coming out the first time?
Yeah. Like if we put this movie in a chronology of the first Hector, right? Like it would technically start with he comes out of the time machine.
Yeah.
And the guy's like what the fuck are you doing in this time machine?
Yeah, because then he wraps his head in bandages, right?
Yeah.
And he goes,
he lures the other one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much because that's the catalyst for the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man. But then he had to, in order to get to the time machine, he had to be lured. Ah,
Yeah. And that's the thing.
time travel, dude.
Like that's the
I
thing
felt this
that
way while watching. I felt this way while watching Tenet too. By the way, go ahead.
when you were just kind of like, what is going on? Where's the
Yeah,
answers? Yeah.
because time is this new. I don't know if time is this new sort of dimension.
Hmm.
It's like a what is time, like the fifth dimension or something? I
Yeah.
don't know.
The
But
fifth
it's a dimension that's really hard to process.
dimension.
In terms when we start moving in a non-linear way, it's really hard for the brain to comprehend it.
Yeah.
So I
I
commend.
feel mess with time.
I will mess
I
with
feel mess
time.
with time.
There
Yeah.
he is. I got something for you.
I got some for your ass. Don't mess
Rick and
with
Morty
time.
reference, everybody. Yeah, shout out Rick and Morty back when it was awesome.
Yeah, back when it was good. Yeah.
The one time they did a time travel episode.
Yeah.
That
But
I know of at least. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, because like the only conclusion that I can arrive at is that somehow at some point the the first Hector maybe time traveled without having to be lured. Like maybe one of him just popped out of that thing inexplicably, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cuz you
It's
know,
that Shakespeare paradox that I was talking about.
yeah.
Where there's no we can't see that's the Shakespeare uh example that I gave though. It's like there's no discernible, it's impossible to even oh, here we go. Dude, this time travel article that I'm looking at right here mentions time crimes.
Really?
How weird is that?
Yeah.
So it has 5 time travel paradoxes, right? And
Mhm.
then it has a section where it talks about the cinema treatment and
Mhm.
like what movies use it and what
Mhm.
stories. So the predestination paradox. So a predestination paradox occurs when the actions of a person traveling back in time become part of past events,
Mhm.
may ultimately cause the event he is trying to prevent to take place.
Mhm.
The result is a temporal causality loop in which event 1 in the past influences event 2 in the future.
Mhm. Which
Time
is
travel to the past
yeah, which this
then
movie is
causes event 1 to occur.
yeah, which this movie this basically this movie.
Right. The circular loop of events ensures that history is not altered by the time traveler, and that any attempts to stop something from happening in the past will simply lead to the cause itself instead of stopping it.
Yeah.
Predestination paradox suggests that things are always destined to turn out the same way, and that whatever has happened must happen.
Mhm.
Examples of predestination paradoxes in the movies include 12 Monkeys, Time Crimes, Time Traveler's Wife, and Predestination.
Mhm.
He named a movie Predestination.
Yeah, I think it like stars Ethan Hawke.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Ethan.
Predestination.
Silly
Um,
title.
but yeah, cuz like
This movie looks silly.
yeah, cuz that's like what we arrive at in the end with Time Crimes, right? Which is just you know, where when he says to that guy, he's like, you bet on the wrong horse. I failed. He just kind of accepted things, but at the same time,
Yeah.
his own acceptance led to the events that unfolded.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
then he basically sacrificed that woman, he like made her look like his wife, so that the past him would then become the him that is the third Hector in whatever reality
Right.
that guy arrives into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts, dude. And the reason that I cited the grandfather paradox as well is this movie subtly uses the grandfather paradox because the thing is, right, it's almost, if you understand the grandfather paradox, then the movie almost somewhat you realize that everything that he's doing necessarily must happen anyway, right? Like, because they're like, in those scenes where he's trying to make sure the woman takes her shirt off at a certain angle, and that that he distracts himself at just the right time. If you understand the grandfather paradox, you understand that this necessarily has to happen. There's no failure here, right? What I really liked about the movie was once we got past that and on to Hector 3, we entered this really unknown territory.
Yeah.
And that was like this movie had a brilliant third act.
Oh yeah, no, this movie was structured brilliantly because technically you can think about the structure of this movie of Act 1, Hector 1, Act 2, Hector 2, and Act 3, Hector 3.
Yeah, each act was a Hector, exactly. Yeah.
Each act was a Hector, but we followed that one. Say what?
I was just asking, which Hector did you like the best, Edward? Hector 1, 2, or 3? Which one made the best choices?
The third one.
Yeah.
Although
two was a piece of shit.
Yeah, 2 was a piece of shit. But the only one who is technically not a criminal is the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
The first one's just an old pervert,
Yeah. What I like about this movie, too, is we don't really know anything about this character, and you just gradually learn about this character. You learn nothing about his past.
No.
You realize that this guy's kind of an asshole.
No, he's an asshole.
I mean, this guy's just gonna do what he fucking needs to do, right? To, get back to his, get things back to normal.
Yeah, no, this guy's an asshole. He's an asshole. And the most fascinating part of it to me was that at some point he became like this Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
That was the most fascinating part to me about the movie. That it's like the more desperate that he became and the more willing to commit, crimes against humanity that he became, the more grotesque, that he was. By the end of the movie, his face was like all like beat up and like big. He didn't even look like the same person. Like, no. He did not look like Hector 1 at the end of the movie. He just looked like this completely... He just looked like a monster,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I guess to me, that was like the biggest thing that I noticed when it happened. That I was just kind of like, oh, this guy has literally become a monster, and just kind of seeing how all of the events that happened in the movie of him making himself ultimately into a monster was his own doing, He did all that to himself. He stabbed himself. He crashed the car onto his own car, and then he crashed the car, into his own car, and then spun out of control and crashed, Like all of these things, he just did them to himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So was one part of the movie, maybe you could clear this up for me. I don't know if I'm just thinking of it from the wrong angle. But one thing, so Hector 2, right? And Nightfall was about, right? Night falls, and he goes back to his house. He starts chasing his wife around the house. Why? I didn't get that.
Oh, it's because he's
trying to put things. Oh, go ahead.
No, the reason why Hector 2 is doing that is because he thought that was the girl.
Okay, that's what I thought might be the case, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, okay. No, he thought that was he thought basically that was the woman whom he assaulted. Like he thought that it was that woman, and that she just woke up. And that she ended up at his house, and that he needed to get her, so that she wouldn't say what happened, and you know what I'm saying? He basically was. Yeah. He basically, I think, was looking for her ultimately, more or less, to kill her. But I think by this point in the movie, Hector 2 has not made the character progression of basically realizing I need to kill this woman. I think he was trying to find her to explain things to her. And Hector 3 was the one who had realized okay, this woman needs to die. And he put her in a position where Hector 2 killed her, So
Okay.
because Hector 3 had
It was a
made
double twist.
yeah, because Hector 3 had made the realization on Hector's 2's behalf that in order for the 3 Hectors to come out of this situation, Hector 2, who is the masked Hector that nobody knows the identity of, has to kill this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. Okay, yeah, so that works because that's like a double twist, right? Because he runs in and he thinks it's the woman.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up being his wife, and then Hector 3 realizes, oh no, it's not my wife, it's the woman.
It's a woman, yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was pretty brilliant, and how he cut her hair, and then,
Yeah, and he realized that he was like, oh, it's the woman, and she needs to die because she's like this loose screw in this time crimes that I've been committing.
Yeah. Man, nuts. Yeah, I definitely will say I was pretty, I was uncomfortable with Hector 2 and his assault of this woman like in the woods. I just wondered if there was a different way they could have gone about that.
Yeah, no, that was weird, man. Because at the same time, that's kind of like a pin that I can put in this movie and be like, I wish they would have found, or I wish they would have done something else, rather than that, because that felt, that was weird and uncomfortable, and it felt not entirely, like you said, necessary, and it felt gratuitous, where it just kind of felt like it was just happening because, the director / writer / time traveling man, not because the director's not Hector. The director is the guy who operates the time machine.
Right.
It feels like there might be a little bit of like I like this, so I'm gonna put this here kind of thing here, where it felt really specific, and weird to the point where I was just kind of like, this is really specific and weird, and I think you're showing your hand a little bit. So I was not the biggest fan of that.
Play devil's advocate on that too. So I will say that, maybe from another point of view, it's like, would it really have gotten him out of his chair and gone to investigate like that if she hadn't been taken off her shirt? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean,
him being a pervert. But I guess the reason he really went to investigate was because it seemed like she gotten hurt or something. It seemed like she had. I can't remember what gets him out of the chair.
I don't think no, because I don't think it's that. I think he was just trying to like spy. Like I really think he was just being like 100% just a pervert,
Yeah.
Like 100%. Because like he was just spying, And then when he went back to see with the binoculars, she was gone, and the fact that she wasn't there anymore is what sparked his interest. Because he was like, well, there's something happening over here, and I need to know, Because, like, if to play devil's advocate, like you said, if there's anything that you could kind of take, or that I could kind of take to a spin positively, is the idea that, part of the downfall of the character is that, like this, like, perverted curiosity that he has, is the thing that just gets him in awe, and all of this time traveling troubles, But ultimately, that woman's still the victim of everything, because at the end of the movie, he was fine, but she died, So it's like that poor woman, all she was doing was just bicycling, and she ended up being like wrapped into this whole mess.
Yeah, she was just trying to do the right thing, too.
Yeah, she was trying to help him out.
And she was really going out of her way to help Hector 1 and Hector 3.
And Hector 2.
Jesus Christ.
And the funny thing is that...
Or, excuse me, Hector 2 and Hector 3, yeah.
And the funny thing is that at some point, like in the second act of the Hector 2, let me know if I was the only one who thought this. I thought that she was the one who ran him out of the road.
Oh, yeah, I did too. I thought it was like her fault.
Yeah, I thought it was her fault because like it wasn't clear that she was the woman in the bike. It just kind of seemed like he got distracted with the woman in the bike, and then he, somebody hit him from the back, you know.
Right.
And I thought that it was that. I thought the woman was her, and I was like, oh, this is why she's like trying to help him so much because she hit him, you know. But ultimately, she was just like a good Samaritan lady in a bike that was like, oh, I guess a man needs help, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, funny enough, I woke up this morning and I thought of this movie and I thought of her
quick.
and I was like, that woman got it the worst, man.
No, she got it the worst. She had it the worst. The worst.
Poor
Yeah.
girl, man.
No, he's a pretty despicable character. Like
Oh yeah.
he's despicable, you know.
Yeah, this movie was very Hitchcockian in that way, or like
Mhm.
Edgar Allan Poe, where it just felt like I feel like a lot of like Hitchcock, particularly Hitchcock TV show,
Mhm.
the Hitchcock TV shows with the anthology episodes, then also like Edgar Allan Poe stories. They both sort of really did these little mini tales of really despicable, like a really despicable protagonist.
Mhm.
They did those like Hitchcock did those very well. And I thought this movie felt in the same vein, where it was just like, man, this guy's an asshole, but you can't stop watching,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
That's my thing. I don't I'm not an advocate. I don't subscribe to the whole notion that a protagonist has to be likable
No,
or
and this is like something
whatever.
that we talked about a lot in college, you know.
Yeah.
Um and this
It seemed
that's
to be a motif among film students, like a protagonist had to be likable.
yeah.
Like, I don't like this guy, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, is he interesting? That's
Right.
that's that's my thing.
Right.
Is he or she interesting?
Right. Right. And again, that was like a big thing for us, like college years, you know, of like talking about these things in like screenwriting classes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
obviously like this movie is like a big example of that, of just kind of just being like this is this is ultimately just like very fascinating, you know. That
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
fascinated by the spectacle of what's happening here.
Train wreck.
Yeah, it is. It's a train wreck, and like it is a train wreck in slow motion. You know,
Yeah.
it's like slow motion, and sometimes and you shift perspectives. You see it in slow
Yeah.
motion from this side, and then you see it in slow motion from up above, and then you see it in slow motion from like a very like bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if like someone in one of our cinema studies classes, if this movie had gotten shown, forget it, dude. They would have, people in the students would have just gone nuts and complained
Oh
and
yeah.
like, oh my god, the character was awful and yada yada. And it's like, I don't know, man. I didn't, I you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say.
I get what you're
can't
trying to
find my
say.
words
Part of me
right now.
sympathizes, because it's obviously, like, part of me sympathizes with people, because it's obviously like, you don't want to, like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's good to give trigger warnings for things like this, because
Sure,
you don't
yeah.
want certain people who may have been exposed to, actual like treatment or abuse like that, to be like. You don't want to just surprise people with shit like this, Because remember when
Yeah.
this was happening in this movie, I was like, holy shit! I was like, I didn't know this. I didn't know this was gonna be fucking happening in this movie.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I don't look into movies. I just watch them.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but ultimately, I can understand somebody being like, hey, that was like really unpleasant, and I wish I would have not experienced that. So that part of me, stands with people in the whole like trigger warnings and telling people what the thing is about. It's like if you don't feel comfortable with this, this is what this is. This is what this is. But ultimately, I feel like movies like this needs to be watched, because people need to have conversations about these things, about these kind of movies, about the morality of these kind of things, and the idea of character, and main character, yeah.
Yeah. Because exactly, and that kind of leads me to the thought that I had toward the end of the film was, how much of this woman's blood is really on Victor 3's hands, Like on one hand, he decided, what needed to happen, but on another hand, it was causality,
Hmm.
right? He just understood that, hey, this is just, what's gonna happen based on it's time travel, you know, these time travel rules that I've become privy to,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wonder what your thoughts on that are, of how much of this woman's blood is actually on this guy's hands, in terms of this situation spiraled out of his control really quick.
Yeah.
And maybe her blood being on his hands is the wrong way to think about it, because I think it's 100% in his hands.
It's 100% in his hands. Yeah. It's 100%.
In his hands.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong way to word it.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say.
I know you're trying to make a point, and I know that you're trying to say something specific. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, it's like blood on his hands is not the right way to say it, because it's 100% on his hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it was almost like the responsibility is split 3 ways between all
1, 2, and
actors.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird to think about, because by the time Hector 2 gets to that point where, he accidentally kills her, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this movie sort of gave him bite-sized it's almost like this movie gave him bite-sized nuggets of immorality, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Where this whole time-traveling situation was almost sort of like spoon-feeding him into being evil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best way I'm going to be able to put that thought
Yeah.
into words, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
No, you're
can't-
right. And you're right, because
I can't speak further on it without sounding stupid. I
No,
think.
and you're right, because like he understood what needed to happen, because he was like, okay, if there's 2 of me, then I need to get the first one of me to time travel, and and I remember the script that needed to happen for that to happen, and the script followed like this: these things needed to happen, so I just have to get these things to happen again. So there's like that element of it, of just kind of being like, okay, I'm just an instrument of time to manipulate this first version of me into then becoming the second version of me, that then will become the third version of me. Yeah, but it's difficult to put it into words, like exactly like, but like you said, there is a shared responsibility across those 3 guys.
Or also the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just that's the one guy, but those 3 versions of him share this like culpability of being like, you guys each were an accessory to the murder that eventually happened and the assault that happened in the second act. Like you were. It was just you. But also you couldn't help it. It was just what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to sum that up.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like he
had no control.
It's exactly. It's sort of it's a really good exploration of causality, because it's sort of Hector 2 not realizing the sort of evil that's inside of him that necessarily is going to cause these events to occur. You know, or Hector 1 even, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Each Hector gets more evil.
Yeah. And each Hector is a piece of shit.
Yeah, Hector 1's a perv. Hector 2 is an assault. Someone who commits assault.
Yeah.
Terrorizes women.
Yeah.
Hector 3 is a murderer.
Hector 3 is a murderer. Yeah.
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 Shit, man.
Yeah.
What's your rating, sir, of Timecrimes?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Yeah, just 8 out of 10.
Need more controversy on this podcast, and we just can't seem to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 8 out of 10.
Guys, listen, anyone listening, I promise that Edward and I don't agree on our ratings before.
No, we don't.
Episodes.
We don't coordinate ourselves.
Don't talk about it. We don't even reveal what we thought about the film.
No.
I don't even tell Edward this movie was great or anything like that.
And neither do we
It's a
post it
total
on
surprise.
Letterboxd. Like we give each other no information about how we feel about this.
0. So anyone who's going to come in accusing will mess with time.
Yeah. But I got a little bit of trivia for you. And then if you like, you can tell me the movie of the week and we can wrap up. But I have these 2 pieces of trivia. Barbara is the name of the actress. Her name is Barbara Goenaga, and she is wearing a Schrodinger's cat shirt. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, that is interesting. I did not notice that.
Yeah, no, she's wearing a Schrodinger's cat shirt, and I didn't notice that either. I just know it because of the trivia. And the second piece of trivia is that at some point there was a American remake of this movie that a big Hollywood A-list actor was attached to be like the person in charge of like getting it made and being the main star. And will you take a guess as to who that male A-list actor was for a remake of Timecrimes?
For a remake of Timecrimes.
Big
it's
actor.
Going to be something really obvious. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I can.
Big actor, Hollywood A-lister, big
Hollywood
name.
A-lister. Okay, would it be someone Hispanic?
Mm-mm.
Because the original film was Spanish?
No Hispanic people, just an American actor, a white American man was attached to be the person who made the remake of this movie.
I want to say.
I've given you a lot of clues, like a white American actor making a time travel movie.
Would it be? Shit, dude, I don't know. Would it be Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I don't know.
Why would
He
it?
made Looper.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is not an
Looper.
A-lister.
Oh yeah, that's true.
An A-list, dude. People like DiCaprio, people like up here,
Brad Pitt.
Tell me your final. Give me a final guess.
He's like, you got one more.
You got
fucking
one more
chance,
shot.
buddy. Oh shit. Okay, wait. Male A-list actors. All right, this'll yield something.
Are you looking it up on Google?
Yeah, this'll yield results. Male A-list actors. I should have put white too.
Yeah,
because
then you're gonna get like The Rock and
Rock,
Bruce,
yeah,
and
Bruce
Will
Willis?
Smith.
Not Bruce Willis, right?
No,
Exactly.
you gotta give me a final answer. Don't give me like another guy. Don't give me another guy with a quotation. Don't give me another guy with a question mark at the end. Bruce Willis?
I don't want to hear no goddamn question mark tagged on at the end.
I don't want to hear
Mark Wahlberg.
I don't want to
That's
hear.
my final.
I don't want to
Mark
hear
Wahlberg.
any high pitched at the end. Mark Wahlberg?
Mark fucking Wahlberg.
That's your final, Mark Wahlberg.
It's just a fact.
Okay.
It's just a fact.
And it's not Mark Wahlberg. It is. Are you ready for this?
I'm gonna go nuts.
It's Tom Cruise.
Oh shit, man! I feel like that's so obvious.
That's
Damn
why
it.
I told you.
He
Like,
would
dude, I'm
be
giving it
perfect,
to you.
He would be perfect too, because he was Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Minority Report, right? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Dude, I was giving it to you. I was like, dude,
feel like-
white male A-list actor time travel movie.
Only thing, see, dude, Americans just need the freaking. We're so plastic, man. We just need that like Hollywood good guy look in there. It's like, dude, that is a terrible choice when you think about it. It's like Tom Cruise, at least not to me. The roles that this guy, a guy with his look and his demeanor, he's not like a skeevy, pervy guy. I mean,
Yeah.
like, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I feel like that's a dumb choice.
No, and it never happened. It was supposed to happen like in 2011, and it just never materialized, and for good reason, because I think it would have been ass.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
And I think he was like,
Hollywood eyes.
I think he was like really just bent. I think he like really wanted to make a time travel movie, because then he ended up making, I think in like 2013, 2014 is when he made Live, Die, Repeat or whatever, Edge of Tomorrow. I think he just really wanted a time travel movie. I think it was just like, it has to happen. I need to make a time travel movie. Yeah.
Time travel movies are fun though, man.
Yeah.
This like every time I see a time travel movie, I'm just like, I want to watch more time travel movies. Fun, man.
This is a note that I wrote. When he was committing the crime, when he was assaulting that woman, I wrote kind of unnecessary crime. because even watching the movie, I was like, this is like really unnecessary. It really is like the most kind of like unnecessary, off-putting part of the movie, and it feels like it could have been done differently, approached differently, or at least it could have been not so kind of gratuitous. Like even if this crime is happening, it didn't have to be shown the way that it was. I feel, like it just feels exploitative, and I feel bad for that woman.
Oh yeah, I felt very bad for that woman.
But something that made me like laugh out loud was that when he laid the trap of the woman for the first Hector, and who knows what the first Hector would have done. Honestly, like who knows what that old fucking bastard would have done if the second one hadn't stabbed him? Who knows? Like who knows? Like piece of shit. But it's funny that the second Hector stabs him, right? And dude, he runs fast as fuck, man. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Dude. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. That's one thing that I remembered. His run in this movie made me, dude. I stayed laughing at his run. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, his run was goofy as hell, man.
But not only was
tiny little strides that he makes.
Not only was it goofy, dude, he was super fast, man.
Yeah, he was like running. Yeah, it was like he was moving too fast for the way his arms were swinging. He was doing like that toddler like waddle run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I noted that. I wrote I put down he runs really fucking fast. Like he was just gunning it.
Because whoever, I don't know if it was either the actor or the director or whoever came up with the idea for that run was brilliant because it just added to the skeevy, the skeevy nature of this character.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, but all that being said, or the laughter being had, do you have a movie for next week?
I do have a movie for next week, Edward. Controversial, Edward.
Mm-hmm.
Controversial. So you know how I was talking, Edward, about movies that have cult followings but really crap ratings?
Like Cobra.
Yeah. Well, this is another one, Edward. This is, and it's funny because the whole podcast was foreshadowed.
Mm-hmm.
I also mentioned Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Wes Craven produced horror dark fantasy film, 1997, Wishmaster.
Wishmaster?
Wishmaster.
Okay.
One word.
I found it. Okay.
And this has a huge cult following.
Yeah.
It's a highly beloved horror franchise by the cult, so to speak.
Robert Kurtzman. Okay.
So it has its lovers, man. People love this thing.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of sequels. Wishmaster 2, 3, Wishmaster the Prophecy. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we won't be watching those.
We won't be watching the Prophecy.
Hell no. But that's my pick. It's a bold one, I admit. But,
Well, I'm in for it.
This world was built by boldness.
Yes.
We're going to go dive in with both feet and see what Wishmaster brings us.
All right. Well, that being said, next time on Film Tangents, we are out.
And that is all, folks. That's the way the news goes.
All right. Bye.